to help them develop lore and backstory, species and environments. And so it's amazing now that literally video games are, like Adam just said, reaching out into the film industry, into the literary industry. Matt or Alex, have you seen that same explosion of opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I just remember from my own personal experience, like, you know, outside just development as a whole, right? You know, there's opportunities in retail, there's opportunities now, you know, with like Twitch and YouTube to like kind of make yourself, you know, a reviewer that people follow, and then you're able to kind of support yourself like by monetizing through advertisements or so forth, or even Twitch, just by getting people to like to watch you play games and get your feedback. Like there's one, you know, particular, the Angry Video Game Nerd. I don't know how many people you guys know on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, no, but he's awesome. But he's like a perfect example, right? This is just a dude who like he likes to make video games and he reviews them, and he's a very, you know, he created this character, the Angry Video Game Nerd, and people like him, people enjoy him, and now he's, you know, he's actually like gone as far as like he's made his own independent movie, like he raised funding for that. Now I think he's coming out with like his own independent game. And just like from seeing like going to like conferences and stuff, like there's always like ways to be part of the organization that like helps, you know, throw conferences like this or conferences like E3 or GDC, or, you know, I know Nintendo is always looking for regional sales reps. So like you don't have to be a creative individual or actually be like someone who's part of the process of making a game. There's so many different avenues that you can, you know, be associated with the industry.
I love that you brought that up with production. There's so many producers that are needed to help plot out all the art that needs to be done.
We're a team of 12, and our 5th hire was a production manager. Almost immediately, we're like, there's too many creative people. We're going to screw this up. It's just us. We need to get someone that can crack the whip and tell us.
I just have one more other thing. A big thing is if you're going to school for marketing, marketing is huge. Like if you know how to market, you know, especially social media market, you know how to work those angles, especially like on an indie level or for a small company such as myself, like if you have that talent, you're good at it, that you can make yourself very appealing to game developing studios.
See, already, psychologist, marketing, production, design. Alex, I saw you shaking your head. Did we miss anything that you want to add in?
Marketing was actually going to be my big one.
Again, same wavelength. How are we doing this?
I know, everyone's like syncing up over here, but yeah, marketing is huge, especially with AAA production games, which is where most of my experience is right now and what I've just seen. Marketing is probably the biggest growing sector of game design. So being a personality type that talks to the media or a game reviewer or
community manager,
PR, those things are very big now in the game development industry. But along with that, there's still a lot of technical jobs that are new that are being created that didn't exist before. The interesting thing to think about is that for as many new positions as there are that are being created that are reasonable, I guess unique jobs that people can fill, a lot of these are being turned into contracted positions, at least initially. So, but at the same time, that gives all sorts of people opportunity to start doing things. Like, I think it's amazing that you went from QA to, you know, running your own company. Like, that's great. And I've heard success stories like that all over the industry. In fact, the majority of the people I work with are people who started off either in QA or, you know, interning for a year, and then maybe just got that lucky shot once, or just said, screw it, I'm starting my own thing.
And for anyone wondering what QA is, it's quality assurance, and you're testing the games, and you're finding bugs, and a lot of quality assurance testers actually always tell me to let everyone know that if you love playing video games, QA is very different, because you don't get to enjoy it, you don't get to sit there and play it, you actually have to find all the problems, and it's just you know, sweat, blood, and tears kind of a job.
Just to follow up on that, but it's also like I feel like it's for anyone who wants to get in games and you're still not quite sure what avenue, whether it's production, design, you know, programming, whatever. I think QA is like definitely like a great fix. So you're going to see all aspects of the game development process, and really it's, you know, it's very much a baptism by fire. Like, you know, it's not like fun work all the time. It's very monotonous. It's very doing the same thing every day for 8 hours, you know, 40 hours a week. But it's not to deter you, just to tell you what it is, but it'll give you a good kind of like gauge of like, okay, this is what it's like to develop a game. It's a good starting point.
Absolutely, absolutely. On that same note, you guys mentioned all these different avenues. I think one of you mentioned Twitch or esports. I want to mention machinima is a huge thing in video games right now. If you're interested in filmmaking or cutscenes, it's incredible how we did a panel about the synergy of video games combining with books and combining with movies. So could you guys tell us a little bit about the realities of what you do every day as a designer or a leader? Tell us just what to expect if we want a career in video games for your specific field. Alex, do you want to start?
Yeah, great. The reality of the fact is it's a lot of hard work.
So what do you do? What do you do every day?
Well, every day, it's always a new challenge. It's always something interesting. You go in, you're going to be given an assignment. I work in a Scrum environment, which, not to go into too much detail, but basically you're given 2-week blocks of work and you're given tasks and you have to accomplish them. So what I'm doing right now, which is pretty interesting, is feature building. Feature being a feature of the game, so a part of the gameplay or a part of the game experience. So
cool.
What I do is UI design and development. So I spend every day going in, I build the user interface, which is what UI stands for, and I make sure that it's as interactive and fun and dynamic and interesting as possible while still accomplishing the most clear, effective way of being useful.
And I hear that UI can make or break the game because you are what the player sees. The intuitiveness of UI needs to be there, that finesse. Man, that must be hard to tackle.
User interface is very interesting, especially since, at least in the games I've worked on, the user interface designer and developer is in charge of all the design. So basically, if you don't make it interesting and interactive, they're not going to want to play with it. Even if the visuals of the 3D models of the game are amazing and the effects are great, if you can't interact with the game in a friendly, efficient, interesting way where you get dynamic feedback on things, and let's say you were in a shooter game and your aiming reticule didn't track where you were going correctly or skipped, you're not going to play that game. Let's say you're playing one of those Spider-Man video games that came out a long time ago.
Like one chance, right?
Yeah, that'll make or break an experience for a user. So at least in my experience, UI is something that you do once, everyone shoots it down, you do it again. Everyone shoots it down, and then the third time, you do it again.
That's like writing. I swear to you guys, you're going to hand your manuscript to your editor and they're going to mark it up with the red pen, you get it back, you rewrite it, you send it out again. It's very similar.
And it's good because once you've done it 4 or 5 times, the next time you do something like that again, you know where you're going, and it makes a big difference for it to feel right, I guess.
Very cool. So. Thank you. Adam, what about you? Give us a glimpse into your day.
I've also been doing a little UI lately.
Wow, there we go.
Well, because we're an independent company, so you got to wear a lot of different hats. So depending on where we're at, we're using Scrum as well. So I just finished a big few-month block where all I did was concept art every single day, which was really great. Now I'm moving into.
Can you describe concept art for anyone interested in that?
Yeah, so it was just visualizing the world. So when we can hand things over to the 3D modeler, he knows what he's going to do because you got to establish. Our game is very art direction heavy, so we have a very clear, distinct style. So it's my job to come up with what all the characters, the architecture.
That's a really cool job.
Yeah,
you're envisioning the whole game.
And what's great is we haven't really found a 3D modeler, and he's an artist as well, so I can give him 50% of the concepts for the world and say, all right, now fill in the gaps. I've given you enough. So, but yeah, so concept art, UI. I do all the graphic design and marketing for it. I do the texture work. I've even done whatever I do a lot of the writing.
Wow.
I even
that is
voice
a lot of
over.
hats.
Yeah, you just do whatever you have to do. I mean, everybody does everything. We all do game design. I mean, just everything. Yeah.
And I'd like to notate the difference. If any of you are wondering, what is it like to work in an independent video game studio? What is it like to work for a huge publisher? I want to notate the difference because I've had panelists that have had experience in both. And for a big AAA publisher or game company, I've always heard the same thing from developers that say, be prepared to do the same thing at a big publisher over and over. So Call of Duty, for example, I had a modeler that made the same assets day after day, and he would ship them off. And he felt like, man, I know I'm working on a great, awesome title like Call of Duty that everyone knows, but I feel small. I feel like I'm just contributing this one asset over and over, And then like Adam just described, working in an independent studio is very different, where you may be asked to work on UI, to work on a writing part of the game. So I think that's interesting to notate if any of you are thinking about working in either independent or a big publisher, that big difference.
There is. I know Jalil, who he's manning the booth right now. He's formerly at Weta and DreamWorks, and I know he was talking. That's all he did was animation, and you know, we loved animating, but he really wanted to tell stories, and he wanted to do some concept art as well. And for a big company like that, you very much, this is what you do. You do that every single day. You do nothing else. I worked on the same dragon for 2 years. That one dragon.
That one dragon is looking pretty boring after a while.
So when you look at the demo reel, it's like 2.5 minutes. It's like, yeah, that's what I did for 4 years.
Wow.
So
wow.
There's glamour to it, I think. But again, there's an independent.
Yeah, I have an interesting job because I work closely with AAA companies, but I also do in-house work for our own game, where I wear many, many hats. Whereas when I go to work for another company, usually I only wear about 1 or 2. So
still a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say it definitely makes a big difference. If you're on a smaller team, you have to do a lot of different things, but it makes it feel more meaningful. You get to do a lot of interesting